Right, so we are now in the longest Murder Drones dry patch since the pilot released, which means I finally have a chance to make a full video on this show without something else showing up and ruining all my ideas. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to try and solve some of the increasingly complex lore that the show is offering, make some predictions on what episodes 7 and 8 are going to look like, and then I'll give you some exclusive information on why the episodes are taking so long that may or may not break a non-disclosure agreement. Let's get into it. So let's start with everyone's favourite genocidal AI, the Absolute Solver, and what its actions in the show mean. Now, I've spent a long, arduous, and painful time watching all of Lordrone's videos, and something he said caught my attention, that being the good Sin theory. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hold up, isn't Sin the one who dropped a nuclear bomb on the Gala, then snapped Earth into pieces? How can she possibly be the good guy? Well, to that I would tell you, that isn't Sin. Kinda. Now I know it sounds like I'm making no sense here, but that's the point. It makes no sense for Sin to be murdering the Elliot family if she also sent the murder drones to Copper 9. They're two completely contrasting ideals. One action makes it look like she wants to kill all of humanity and build an army of drones, while the other is making an active effort to reduce the number of drones available and spending time on a planet with no human life. So what's happening here? Well, it's easy. Sin and the Absolute Solver are two separate things. The first clue to this being the case is in the pilot episode, where we see Sin using admin abilities to block the Solver from occurring within N. It makes absolutely no sense for Sin to do that if she's the Absolute Solver and wanted to spread to other drones, since there's a worker drone nearby that she could quickly take over. There's also this clip in episode 5, where we can see that when the Absolute Solver inhabits a host, the drone maintains its consciousness and isn't completely destroyed. Note the "I will not discard you" line here. This means that it is very possible for Sin to exist as a piece of code separate to the Absolute Solver who is actively fighting against what it wants to do. If we assume that JC Jensen has implemented the 3 laws of robotics into these drones, which is backed up by Tessa thinking that she has the ability to control the Sentinels, and the fact that it malfunctions upon biting her, we can guess that Sin will be strongly opposed to the idea of killing all humans that the Absolute Solver is pushing. So since Sin is working against the Absolute Solver, why would she want to send the murder drones to kill the inhabitants of Copper 9? To answer that question, we need to go back to medieval Europe. When the Black Death spread across Europe, any infected person had one of two outcomes: get the disease and die, or become immune to the disease. This means that after enough time had passed, everyone who would die from the Black Death already had, and there was nowhere for it to spread to, so it died out. The same logic can be applied here. If there are no intact drones for the Absolute Solver to transfer to, then it will eventually die out. This also explains why the murder drones use violent weapons and acid-like nanites instead of viruses and malware. Sin wants to disable the drones physically, so they can't come back with the Absolute Solver. The only problem with this plan is that humans are far too curious for our own good. But as for how much of an impact this is going to have on the last 2 episodes, I'm not too sure. It may have something to do with this shot of Uzi squeezing N's hand, or with the revival of Nori and Yeva, but we'll have to wait and see. So let's actually talk about the next episodes and what I think is going to happen. The first thing we can see from the finale trailer is that there's a lot of Christian theming in this episode, meaning it's probably going to be a take on... For the people in the back who don't know this, all of the Murder Drones episodes so far have been based off of a famous horror movie. Given that, and the fact that the place is the home of a lab used to experiment on drones, we can make the assumption that there will be an attempt to remove the Absolute Solver from Uzi using the equipment from that lab. Perhaps as a last-ditch effort from N to stop Tessa from trying to kill her. This obviously doesn't work, as we see N getting dragged away into a hole that was made by the Solver, and my money's on him dying. The only real piece of information we get about Tessa from the trailers is that she finds Nori's old room, where we can assume she discovers something about the Absolute Solver that's going to be important. Nori herself doesn't turn up here, but can be seen in the main part of the cathedral where the exorcism is probably going to take place. She may be showing up in an effort to help save Uzi and remove the Absolute Solver under orders from Sin, or she may be working with the Solver to try and get rid of Tessa. Or she might have some mystery third allegiance we don't know about yet. Interestingly, we don't actually see Dollar all through the trailer, which means she's either going to make a grand appearance in episode 8, or she dies really quickly and there wasn't any exciting footage of her to play. Now that the speculation is over, here are some things that I want to see happen in this episode from a critical standpoint. First up, N. He needs to develop as a character. I know it's pretty much become a meme at this point, but we really need to see some true conflict for this character that will challenge the always optimistic, happy, jolly outlook he has on life, and I think a fight to the death with Uzi will be able to do that. Next, I want to see more horror. Like proper horror that takes itself seriously. I still maintain that episode 2 is the best in the series because of the horror elements and its ability to take itself slightly more seriously. So I want to see more of that tension and graphic violence that made episode 2 work so well. I know Vanity's going to agree with me on this one, but I want Jay to get some more screen time. Bringing her back in episode 3 only for us to see nothing of her in episode 4, a younger version of herself in episode 5, and all of 2 minutes of screen time in episode 6 is making me question whether bringing her back was actually worth it. The common theory here is that Jay will save V from the Sentinels, which would be an okay purpose to serve, but as the three of us discussed in Tyro's video, it honestly might be better if V doesn't get saved. So I really hope Liam has a purpose for her other than that. Alright, last thing before I leak classified information. Will Murder Drones have a season 2? At this point, it's an obvious yes. Every single piece of promotion for this finale has slapped season 1 across the front of it, and there's absolutely no reason to do this unless you're planning a season 2. But that does mean we have to wait more for Indonesian Cube. Now, the part you've all been waiting for. The reason as to why episode 7 is taking so long. This is because the episode 7 that we're going to be watching is not the episode 7 that was planned when writing the show. See, I've been informed by an individual who works on Murder Drones that a large part of episode 6 was retconned during production. I'm not going to say what because I don't want to get this person or myself in trouble, but I think I'm okay to say that something was changed. As a result, a lot of episode 7 and 8 would have to be completely remade, and given that it was pretty far into production when the retcon was made, it would take a lot longer to finish the episode. Couple this with more Digital Circus episodes being greenlit, and the production of the Gaslight District pilot stretching the team, the fact that this is the longest gap in episodes since the 2-year break between the pilot and episode 2 is much more understandable. But until episode 7 comes out, we have to find something else to quench that indie animation thirst we all have. And I think I've found a series that might be able to do just that. Allow me to introduce you to our spellbinding lies.
I don't need to tell you why you're here. I've made the universe a place of honest, upfront individuals. Is sovereign now.
You deserve every one of those teeth around your neck, you liar!
She left me here. She doesn't love me.
Woo the day you turned against her deadly majesty!
Ooh, tell her. This'll be fun. Want some popcorn?